Hello, everybody, racers, race fans, drivers, and everything in between. Thank you very much for joining us for another wonderful Trackalicious event. I'm your host, Saagar. Bakshi. Joining me is Kuzya Terekhov in the booth with me, and this is West Coast Wednesdays. We're having a hoot of a time. We're driving around the track that is called Zolder, and it's going to be a little bit moist out there tonight, huh, Kuzya?
Yeah, hopefully some challenging conditions for the drivers ahead, not just a dry, easy race.
Yeah, looking forward to a very complicated race for all the drivers. We've got 17 of them on the racetrack right now. Let's take a look at the calendar and the Patreon subscribers before we get down to seeing what the action's all about. Head over to the calendar for the GT4 rookies on Mondays. That'll be what day of the week is it, Kuzya? It's the 17th. It'll be the 10th. No.
The 10th just happened. Yes, we just had the Watkins Glen race this Monday, and then it'll be up at Snetterton next week.
Thank you very much there, Kuzya. At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, West Coast Wednesdays. Today is February 12th. I know that much at least. Next week we'll be at COTA on February 19th. The GT3 Championship on Thursdays. Been to Daytona, had their off week. Been to VIR, Road America, Laguna Seca. Next up will be Bathurst, and that is tomorrow. Following that will be Road Atlanta and then the Charlotte Roval to end the championship. The new series to this calendar is the Multi-Class Masters in the Orica Masters Cup running on LMU Le Mans Ultimate. We've had our inaugural race at Imola on February 7th. Now we're going to be having our inaugural race for the Orica Masters Cup on the Friday, the 14th of February, starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Pacific. Then we have our staple championship, the Proto Pavement GT3 Championship. That'll be on Sundays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, obviously. And we just concluded our off week, and this Sunday we're going to be at Kyalami, which means our home in Swahili. And of course, it'll be our home for racing for the evening. Then Valencia, Watkins Glen, then Paul Ricard on March 9th to end out the championship, where you yourself can win a free IRL track day with a track prep car and 500 buckaroos in your pocket for travel expenses as well. So it's nothing to really scoff at. That's quite the prize. Let's head down over to the track and see how the drivers are faring with these tricky conditions. I'm looking at none other than the man himself, Jake Wells, in second place with a 132.810. Chandler Williams in P1 right now with a 138.142. Times are awfully close, 73,000 separating P1 and P2 right now.
Yeah, pretty close separating the top two. A bit of separation there into third place of Wright in the 24 Lamborghini, about 0.6 off the pace. But still about 4 minutes left in the session for the drivers to improve on those lap times. We'll see Jake Wells negotiating the curbs pretty heavily in the rain here. Yeah, the rain certainly brings out another challenge around Zolder, a very kind of tight and twisty track as we were talking about earlier. But yeah, just excited to see what sort of pace all these other drivers can bring in these wet conditions. Of course, qualifying is one thing. It's another thing to race in the wet as well.
Oh, 100%. The consistency will be definitely difficult to deal with here, and the drivers having to deal with these tricky conditions as well. This will be very interesting to see how Jace Wright, he like you said, he is around 0.6 off the pace right now, but he's still within that kissing distance of Chandler Williams and Jake Wells. And Jake Wells actually just goes provisional pole on that previous lap occasion, 132.567. So now that kissing distance has just increased around 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, and we can see on the top there that the weather should be getting a little bit worse, so drivers should try to get their best lap times out as early as possible in the session. With a quick 10-minute qualifying, though, there is not really much time to do that. So we see a lot of drivers out on track at the moment, pretty much everybody out on track, all 17 drivers. Jake Wells currently in provisional pole, Chandler Williams just ahead of him in the Ford number 33 car in the second place.
Absolutely. And I'm just taking a sneak peek at all the tires to see if anybody's got any dry tires on. I don't think anybody is quite silly enough to do that in these conditions. Let's talk about the standings very quickly. I've got the SimGrid standings open. Chandler Williams leads in P1, but here's my boy Josh Mills driving the Lexus, my fan favorite car, in second place with 71 points to his name. Anthony Kelly is resting his head in third place right now with 65 points. Then Hunter Davis, Jace Wright, Thiago Denarte in sixth, Curtis Rustin in seventh, Alex Freeman in eighth, Justin Brackett in ninth, Matt Artem in 10th. Then we have further down the order, Darren Wicks, Kevin Yu, Jake Wells, Danny Campbell, Tony Versetti, Potts Weaver, Joshua Worley, a.k.a. Squirrely Whirly, Daniel Hirsch, then Kyle Hirsch, Professor Cronotis, Devin Anthony, Buggy Watt, Neil Kerbal, Don Donovan, Aaron John, Hugo 13, Mike Vasquez, Kuzya Terekhov, Rod Skyhook, holy Toledo, this list goes on, Aguendo Martinez, Diaz Gerald, Chris Logan, and Jaeger Caro, Spady Bud, Drew Burakovsky, Joshua Rodriguez, Charles Wimbley, John Wad, a name I can't pronounce, we're just going to call him GB, and Max Bowman. Bogman?
Yeah, quite a big leaderboard there. Some drivers coming and going, like you mentioned, Mia. Yeah, participated in the first race and then started doing commentary.
That's true. Kuzya Terekhov showed up for the very first race and now has been disqualified from the championship contention. A whopping 19.5 points to his name, and that's where he'll stand for the rest of the season.
Yep, we'll see how it ends towards the end of the season. Yep.
Well, you can always find yourself driving again to increase those championship points, maybe get ahead of some of the other disqualified drivers.
Yep, indeed. Yeah, we see in the chat there those dang part-timers. Yep, I would definitely be one of those. But I got drawn. I'm still in the championship. I'm just not driving on track per se.
You know what, Kuzya? Take my microphone. I've got my sim rig right next to me. I'll fire it up right now and go punt some people. Hold on.
Good deal. Here, I'll give you my Steam login too.
Yeah.
You can boost the championship points. Yeah,
Hey,
qualifying time over though. We'll see just what sort of time these drivers can do. Jake Wells at the top with a 132.5, and then Wright in that Lamborghini we mentioned earlier, still about 5/10 off the pace. Missing Chandler Williams from the grid. He was up in second place, but he did disconnect. Alex Freeman here crossing the line and not able to improve his position, will stay in 13th place.
That is very peculiar. Chandler Williams, the leader of this championship right now, would make us at whole of the 17 drivers right now. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Nowhere on my leaderboard, and hopefully he doesn't have to start from the back of the pack. And I think he just popped in 17 drivers. I'm not seeing him still.
I think he was just able to hop in. I see him in the standings there in second place, so
There
hopefully
he
he was able to hop in time. Because I think if he would have hopped in during this part, he would have had to start from the back of the grid. So fortunate for him, he's able to recover back into that top row of the grid.
Thank goodness for that. That would be a hard-fought win for him in the championship standings. But right now, we've got our livery showcase about to take place, everybody. We've got 2.5 minutes left on the clock. I'm setting the timer right now. And ding, away we go. Jake Wells leads us away in the number 527 in first place, driving a 132.567. Chandler Williams in second place, the number 33, just 1/10 off the good, is driving the Ford Mustang. Jace Wright, the number 24, driving the Iron Dames 2024 livery in third place. Then my boy Josh Mills driving the lonely Lexus on track, the number 1, in fourth place. Kevin Yu, the number 99 Ferrari, 296. He's going to be in fifth place, 6/10 away from first place. Anthony Kelly, 8/10 exactly away from FNM, and he's going to be in the number 7 in sixth place. Curtis Rustin, the 868 in seventh place, driving the Ferrari 296 for Drive Motorsports. Matt Artem, the 414 America United Racing car, is going to be in eighth place. Then Chris Logan in the 261 Ford Mustang is driving the ninth place. Darren Wicks in the number 46, and he's driving the green light, ironically blue though, Rexy car in 10th. Kyle Hirsch, the number 21, is in 11th place, 1.955 off the good. And then right next to him is Daniel Hirsch. We've got a trio of Porsches nose to tail, the number 48 in 12th place. Justin Brackett, the number 6, in 13th position. Going further back, we have Alex Freeman, the number 14, in 14th spot. And then we're going to have Buggy Watt, the number 410, in 15th position. And he is going to be looking good in that Ferrari. Joshua Worley, a.k.a. Squirrely Worley, the number 47 from United States of America, in 16th place. And bringing up the rear is going to be Drew Burakovsky with Fuchs Competition Esports Team, the number 63, in 17th position.
Well done, about 2 minutes and 5 seconds based on my clock. Perfectly well done, and just before the start of the formation lap.
It gets me a little while to get going. Jake Wells, it paused there for a couple of seconds, so I had to go next to Chandler Williams a little quicker. But yeah, I love doing the livery showcase. It's one of my favorite things about using ACC TV. Being able to do the grid walk, being able to get to know all the drivers and their liveries is one of my favorite things to do. So thank you very much for bearing with me while I express myself.
Oh, I agree. It is a totally fun part, and especially for the drivers creating the liveries and being able to showcase them for us in this fashion too.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit more personality to yourself, your character, what you stand for. As you see Jace Wright driving the Iron Dames car, Women Driven by Dreams car, the 2024 livery Lamborghini. And that is a good looking Lamborghini, I must say. I'm glad I finally got this livery upload to work properly.
Yeah, it is really good looking. A very fun pattern all throughout the car. The pink really pops as well. There's a really fun livery always from the Iron Danes team.
And is this the race before the race? The 527 and the 24 just racing their hearts out. Chandler Williams now has to catch back up to the front of the grid, and there he is, warming up his tires, leading the pack right now. And then that'll be Jake Wells catching back up to regain P1. And then all the drivers kind of jostling for positions right now, left, right, and center. But a little bit of a race before the race takes place, it looks like, on the formation lap here.
They're just trying to get into that camera spot so they can show off their liveries, just a little bit more.
Everybody wants their screen time. Spady Bud does it by doing donuts for me. He knows I'll stick the camera on anybody doing donuts, so there's one way to get on camera with me. How about you, Kuzya? What was your favorite livery that you were able to showcase while you were sim racing?
In general, I mean, it's always hard to say, just because for the most part, a lot of the times when I do it, I just have like their in-game liveries loaded, so I don't have the full custom liveries loaded. But I've always liked the ones that were based on some sort of video game, whether it be like a Need for Speed style livery. I guess mostly just Need for Speed, just like the different Need for Speed games that I can think of. But yeah, there was one yesterday, or on Monday, in the GT4 series that really caught my eye. It was like a space-themed Need for Speed Most Wanted BMW-themed one. So that was one that caught my eye recently.
Like a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit type car?
No, it was the cover car for Most Wanted, that BMW with the silver BMW with the blue stripes.
Ah, very nice. And the drivers are all formed up 2 by 2, and we're about to take the green flag, everybody, for a 50-minute race here at West Coast Wednesdays, brought to you by TRACKILICIOUS. Thank you very much for joining us. And the lights have gone green, everybody. And it looks like Jake Wells has a commanding start right now over Chandler Williams. And then the third place car of Jace Wright lurking in the background. The Iron Dames machine is there, closing down the gap during the braking zone on that Ford Mustang and doing a very good job of commanding that space. Josh Mills a little under threat right now, and there's a big off. Who was that next to him? I cannot believe the number 99. That'll be Kevin Yu, who was involved in that incident, and that was pretty detrimental to their race efforts for sure. That Lexus is going to have its side skirts basically removed at that point in time, but able to stave off Curtis Rustin, as it looks like for now. Curtis Rustin getting chased down by Matt Artem, the 7th place car, and that's the 414. Connor Hooper, hello, and hello from the Jake Wells channel. Well, thank you very much for being here. Welcome to the stream and the broadcast. We're watching Jake Wells lead the race in that 5-2-7. Chandler Williams in 2nd place, Jace Wright in 3rd place, Anthony Kelly in 4th, Josh Mills in 5th, Curtis Rustin in 6th, Matt Artem. But we've got a 3-way scrap in the background, Kuzya, and this is between Daniel Hirsch, Justin Brackett, and Drew Barakovsky.
Yeah, good battle to try to get into the top 10 here. We see a little bit heavy in the braking from the Ford, not giving any room to the Lamborghini to go side by side into the final heavy braking zone of the lap. Pretty nice and clean lap apart from that little incident we saw at the beginning, but more or less every car pointed in the correct direction, getting a little bit squirrely from some cars trying to negotiate how tricky the conditions are out there. How tricky the conditions are out there with the rain. Here we have a battle up for 5th place. Curtis Rustin going a little bit wide in the Ferrari. Matt Artem trying to take advantage in the Audi as they go side by side into turn 2. The pink Ford in the background of Logan trying to pick off any positions he can. This will be a tricky corner to negotiate as we see a few cars understeering a little bit wide into the grass.
And that'll actually be Chandler Williams out in front right now, driving in 5th place, it looks like. Not sure what happened there. I'm not seeing any incidents that have popped up. Maybe just a little bit of a slowdown through one of the sectors. But Chandler Williams, the please brake at T1 team, is resting in 5th place, tumbled back from their start where they were in 2nd place. And now they're sitting behind 2nd place in the championship. That'll be Josh Mills driving the number 1 Lexus.
Yeah, this will be a good battle for championship contention. Josh Mills, as you mentioned, in 2nd place, going to try to keep off the championship leader as best as he can. Not able to find any sort of move as Chandler Williams into the really heavy hairpin braking zone at turn 8, but still going to try to pick off as many places as he can. But meanwhile, there's still plenty of race to go, and he doesn't want to ruin it this early on.
No, and definitely not making a lap to send on Josh Mills this early on. Long race left to go. The pit window is still open for 45 minutes and 40 seconds. And is that Chandler Williams going slowly? And he is going very slowly, and he's letting he's letting a lot of cars by. What's happened to the number 33 right now? He's just let the entire field pass him up, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either. It's maybe just having some sort of wheel issues is all I can think of is for any reasons he would pull over to the side like that. But yeah, he seems like he's just going very slowly, perhaps negotiating some sort of software or hardware issues of his own. But that's kind of the aspect that you have to bring into sim racing from real racing, where your machinery could fail you like the cars do in real life.
Very true. It could be mechanically related, because we did see him leave the qualifying session and then have to come back in, and maybe he just didn't get the control alt delete that he was looking for to reset his equipment and get that up and running again the way it was supposed to be. Kevin Yu 4/10 away from Squirrely Whirly right now, the number 47 in the 13th spot, and this is the battle in front of Chandler Williams, who's 10.4 off the good, and that will be the end of Chandler Williams' race. And not the end of his championship contention, but this might bring up Josh Mills into P1. We'll have to look at the point standings again, as there's a big send through the 2nd chicane. Holy Toledo, a pass on the grass was trying to be made by Kevin Yu, but just couldn't find his way by. Looks like a couple drivers have decided to come in down pit lane. That'll be Joshua Worley and one other driver. I couldn't quite catch their names. Joshua Worley and... no, that'll be it. Alex Freeman going a little bit slowly. I thought that's who that was, but no, Alex Freeman still on the racetrack. The number 14 had a yellow flag. Let's see if we can get an instant review of what happened there. Just slowest cameraman in the world, pans over to Alex Freeman for us, and it looks like that's why it looked like he was going down pit lane.
He sure was going down pit lane for a second, trying to avoid a car into the braking zone, and then, yeah, just able to escape and without any sort of major incidents, losing out on a few positions, but still pointed in the correct directions. Should point out on the top weather there, it looks like the rain is going to decrease in about 10 minutes and get even more decreased in 30 minutes. So this will be interesting to see what sort of strategy these drivers opted for, whether they put in a lot of fuel at the beginning to try to go long, as we have a side-by-side battle here between Kevin Yu and Drew Burakovsky. Kevin Yu going through the field, now up to 11th place after that incident we saw in lap 1, but managing the field quite well now, has Justin Brackett up in front of him. 2.5 seconds is the gap for him to catch up to the top 10 position.
Let's check in with Josh Mills right now, my favorite driver on the grid, driving the lovely Lexus, and this is a great car, and it's a great sounding car as well. Not too many drivers get to know the sights and sounds of the Lexus, so let's just ride on board for a moment as we chase down Anthony Kelly from FNM, the third place driver. The last podium spot could be in Josh Mills' hands, as it looks like, yes, that is going to be a DNF from Chandler Williams.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that from the championship leader, but there are still quite a few races to go for him to continue to maintain that top spot.
And we were talking about the aggressiveness that you have to take through these chicanes to get the most lap time out of the car at Zolder. And that's what I'm talking about. That Lexus really mounting the sausage curbs there and doing a good job of maximizing its run. The lap time's going the way of Josh Mills right now. The best lap time is around 0.2 faster, and last lap was around half a second faster than Anthony Kelly. But not too many passing opportunities here at Zolder. Of course, you could make a cheeky move into the chicane, but that means that you have to get a good run out of turn 1 and turn 2 to set this one up from a long way back.
Yeah, it doesn't seems like that McLaren of Kelly has a really good traction exiting the corners and not letting Josh Mills get really close to that bumper to allow him to any opportunities into any of the heavy braking zones. So we'll see if Mills can kind of stay close to the bumper of the McLaren, try to just reel him in a little by little and go for that big dive braking move into one of the many heavy braking zones they have around Zolder.
And Drew Burakovsky into the pits. Joshua Worley served there as Alex Freeman and Buggy Watt all serving their mandatory pit stops so far. And I'm seeing 30-second pit stops for all the drivers. So tire changes taking place already. And this is what I'm talking about. Trying to come out of turn 4 and get this one set up from a long way back is difficult. The Lexus has good top speed here, but this isn't really a high-speed circuit. As we talked about during the pre-race broadcast, we were talking about how this is more of a mid-speed circuit than it is a high-speed circuit, and that really performs a lot of challenges for the lovely Lexus.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it quite has that low-speed grip that the McLaren has to really punch it on those tires and run away from the car behind. So it'll be a challenge for Josh Mills to stay close. And in these conditions, the spray does play a pretty big factor as we see those wipers fully engaged on the Lexus and the McLaren. Of course, the McLaren does have about 6.7 seconds of free air ahead, so he doesn't have to deal with the spray that Mills is dealing with.
That is very true. Not a lot of spray in front from Anthony Kelly to Jace Wright. And Jace Wright now inherited second place of this race. Let's go through the standings very quickly. So it is Jake Wells leading the race right now, and he is commanding it in the number 527. Doing a great job. Hello, Travis Bartlett. Thank you very much for joining us. And Jake Wells is in the 527 McLaren in first place. Jace Wright is in second place, 2.3 off the good right now, and he is caught up in a little bit of lap traffic, it looks like, and trying to get past some of the other drivers coming down towards the Klein chicane, the very first chicane where the sausage curbs are very aggressive against the drivers. Then we have third place of Anthony Kelly and Josh Mills. This is the battle that we were just looking at a few moments ago. And then we have Curtis Rustin in the 868, and then Chris Logan in 6th place, driving the 261. And there was a look up the inside line going into Villeneuve. But man, that was just a scare, not only for myself, but I'm sure Anthony Kelly felt the heat of the moment, and the exhaust pipe almost getting touched there in the rear end. Matt Artem in 7th place, Kyle Hirsch in 8th place, Daniel Hirsch in 9th, Brackett, Kevin Yu, Alex Freeman, Joshua Worley, Drew Burakovsky, and Buggy Rott will round out the 15 drivers that are remaining in this drive right now.
Yeah, just a little 10 minutes into the, just a little over 10 minutes into the race. Still plenty of action to go, and with these changing weather conditions, it'll be interesting to see what sort of tires the drivers might select later in the race. Will it dry up enough for them to risk it and go on to dry tires? Will a dry line develop? It just kind of depends on, we'll just have to wait and see what the sim throws at us.
That's very true. It's hard to get a wet track condition to go damp, but it's a lot easier for a damp track to stay damp as long as the rain doesn't increase too dramatically. We do see a temperature of 21 degrees ambient, 25 degrees for the track temperature, a little bit of a tailwind for the drivers, and crosswind now as they come down the second straightaway. But yeah, not too much to write home about as far as track temperature. It's not like it's 30 degrees out where the water will just evaporate from the track surface. This is a pretty moderate temperature where I don't think the track might dry up, but I could be wrong. What do I know? I'm just a broadcaster.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And with this relatively small grid of 15 cars, there's not really a lot of tires going around the track to really dry up a certain racing line for dry tires to potentially become faster in these conditions.
Did that board just fall over on its own, Kuzya? I swear I saw that board just fall over on its own, and then another driver collected it there. But either way, it looks like blue flags are being waved. Oh, and the Lexus having to dip, dive, and dodge out of the way. Whom was that? That might be Buggy Watt in the 410. And now the number 1 looks like they're headed down into the pit lane. That'll be Josh Mills taking their mandatory nice and early with 37 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. We've got plenty of action left to go. Let's check out the battle between Squirrely Whirly and Alex Freeman.
Yeah, Josh Worley here in the 47 Mustang right on the bumper of the 14 McLaren of Freeman, just trying to push that McLaren along, find any sort of gap that he can, and try and make a move. We'll see if he can get it done into this really heavy braking zone of the first chicane. We saw the McLaren of Kelly being able to negotiate these curbs pretty easily. Oh, is that Jace Wright? That's Jace Wright off in from second place. And there's Kelly trying to get onto the tail.
Before we take a recap of what happened to the number 24, let's see if Anthony Kelly can make a move going into Villeneuve chicane. It doesn't look like it on this occasion, but that is a ton of damage to Jace Wright's car, and that will be totally detrimental to his race. I'm sure he's going to come into the pits on this occasion to get that damage repaired. And there is the Alex Freeman Joshua Worley battle just ahead, and Alex Freeman and Squirrely Whirly side by side still as they came out of the hairpin and going in towards turn 11. It looks like there's nose to tail right now, and here it is. Jace Wright looks like he's going to come down pit lane, and no, elects to stay out for another lap. Let's take a recap of what happened to the number 24, and we'll ride on board and see what happened here.
Yeah, just approaching these heavy curves of the turn 5 chicane. Gets it pretty well on the braking zone, but hits that second curb really heavily, and the car's just not able to get back on the traction well, and just bouncing straight through the track and into the barrier.
Yeah, wow, that car had some giddy up and go for sure. Jace Wright, he must be okay with the damage that he incurred from that incident. I wouldn't be too thrilled with that. I would have pit, but Jace Wright, obviously a seasoned veteran, has a 1.3 second gap to Anthony Kelly. Probably wants to check out how bad the damage is. Oh, and almost does it again there. That car just giddy-upping more than a bunking Bronco, it feels like, and trying to get it back up and settled again. Let's check out Kevin Yu and Daniel Hirsch. Whoa! That was a blinking car.
Yeah, a bit of rubber banding going on there, it seemed like. But yeah, Kevin Yu trying to make up even more positions than before. Now in 9th place, going to try to catch up to the back of Dan Hirsch as he does and trying to pass him for 8th place. The two Porsches running in 7th and 8th place. But this is the battle of the 48 Porsche between the 99 Ferrari. The Ferrari pretty close to the back of the Porsche, but not able to get alongside into the braking zone at turn 8. It's a little bit squirrely on the exit too. That's not going to help his chances of getting that move done either.
Just reading the trackside report, Team Williams had hardware issues with certain software running on the PC and was lagging the sim and got a drive-through trying to root cause while driving. Ooh, man, had to call it a day there. Unfortunate for Chandler Williams, and that is going to be spicing up the championship just a little bit. Let's take a look at the points right now. It's 91.5 points to 71 points. And let's check out the scoring as well. So for the scoring, I don't know how to read this.
Keep in mind also, this DNF will count as his next scratch race also.
That's very true. I had totally forgotten about that. This will count for his drop round. So, but still, that would be 30 points added to his name or excuse me, not 30 points. That would be, he's in, well, he could technically be in 3rd place of this race. So that'll be 25.5 points to his name compared to a 4th place, which would be 23.5 points. So 25.5 to 23.5. It should not affect the championship standings too much. Actually, by the way we look at it, due to the drop round, but it will affect the championship once we get down to the final couple of races and we see how things unfold.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, and of course a pretty close battle. We'll have to wait and see also how Josh Mills' strategy plays out of pitting in relatively early to all of the other drivers out on track. And of course with those changing conditions that we see in the weather forecast prediction, yeah, it's just going to be just a kind of a waiting game at this point to see what sort of strategy works out best.
If I remember correctly, he pit right behind from Anthony Kelly, maybe let's call it a second gap. He's lapping right now about 0.2 faster. So over 5 laps or so, he should be able to pull off this amazing overcut strategy and potentially get that to work in his favor. Here is Joshua Worley chasing down Alex Freeman, and that will be Jace right now trying to get involved in this and get through on the back markers, and Swirly Whirly getting out of the way relatively quickly to allow Freeman through. And a little bit of contact there between the 47 and the 14. Let's see if we can get an instant review and see what happened here.
Yeah, here they are just exiting that turn 5 chicane. The Ford has a pretty decent run on the McLaren, almost has a look on the inside, but not quite, and just misjudges when the speed of the McLaren and just slightly taps the back of it and decides to get out of the way of the faster car behind at the same time. So yeah, just a small little racing incident on the tap of the back of the McLaren. Nothing too major there.
Yeah, nothing to write home about, that's for sure. And we all know traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. This will be a battle that I'm sure will resume in just a little bit of time. We just need to get the Alex Freeman and Joshua Worley slinking back to each other again. Joshua Worley obviously slower on that lap due to that bump in the rump, and then obviously letting by the faster car of Jace, right? So a little bit slower, but the best lap time, he's not too far off from Alex Freeman, and a 1.3 second gap has already come down to around 1 second between the two drivers. And there in the background is Anthony Kelly from F&M coming through turn 5, the Klein chicane, and he is doing very well to navigate his way through the rest of the field right now.
Yeah, just going to try and keep that pace up as high as he can to avoid that undercut strategy from Josh Mills. So we'll just have to wait and see when Kelly will start to pit as he approaches the traffic of Freeman and Worley. who were having that battle earlier. Yeah, it's impressive to see that Jace Wright's just happy with the damage that he got onto that Lamborghini a little bit earlier, just rolling along, still pulling out the almost 4-second gap to Kelly now.
Wow, that truly is impressive. It's pretty crazy. Matt Artem going a little bit slowly in the 414. Let's take a quick recap and see what happened here. The 414 coming through the Villeneuve chicane. And it looks like everything's okay, going off a little wide. This is Matt Artem, obviously, and slipping and sliding and going off the track. And how does he avoid the barrier? Oh my goodness. And Kyle Hirsch able to opportunize that moment, and he gets through on Matt Artem. 1.3 second gap separates the two of them, but that was an amazing recovery.
Yeah, well done from Artem to keep it out of the barriers and keep that Audi in one piece and point it in the correct direction. Yeah, just getting a little bit of an oversteer moment and having to correct it back, but does it perfectly and avoids the barrier, but just loses a little bit of time and just loses a place, but still over half of the race to go to get that position back.
Yes, it is. Adam Strange, thank you very much for the biddies. I feel like the F1 movie is going to be terrible. I don't know how to feel about that yet. To be honest with you, I haven't seen any trailers for it yet, so I'm going to hold my peace until I find out what Brad Pitt and is it Tom Cruise? Who's in that movie, Kuzya?
I have no idea, to be honest. Like you said, I haven't really seen too much about it, but yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what it has, even if it does end up being a little bit, Hollywoody, quote unquote. But yeah, just excited to see what sort of movie they end up producing in the end.
Yeah, for certain. Excited to find out what kind of movie they end up producing. I mean, if it's anything like the Senna Netflix show, that was pretty good, I thought. Really fun and entertaining, even though most of it was in Portuguese. It was still very exciting and entertaining to watch. It was a lot of history that I didn't know about Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, and then they had the movie from a little bit ago called Rush. So yeah, there's been some pretty good F1 themed sort of documentary movies that have come out in the past years that have been pretty good. So we'll have to wait and see how this one turns out.
That's true. I really did like Rush. I thought that was a good movie. The Niki Lauda mockumentary, or however you want to call it. It wasn't a documentary. Definitely not a mockumentary. It was more of a historical recreation type movie of and dramatically incorrect at times, I guess. But it was Hollywoody. And what else could you ask for? Jace Wright having another yellow flag. Let's find out what happened to him.
Yeah, this is him entering that Klein chicane, going pretty well through the curbs, just running a little, oh, there it is, just running a little bit onto the grass and into the concrete barrier with the front of that Lamborghini yet again. And that's going to be even more damage to the front of that car.
Oh, man. Adam Strange saying he just doesn't like Brad Pitt, it looks like. Octane WG04, thank you very much for being here, my friend. It was a banger of a movie. Absolutely it was. And Heather from World Tour says, what's with the emotes? And Adam Strange replies, I subbed to a channel. I will use the emotes as I please with the chicken dancing. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. If you sub to a channel and they've got emotes to use them.
You know what? No one subscribes to my channel for the emotes, and I've got some good emotes, Kuzya.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff on the Real High if you're interested. But make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell first on Tracklicious, because we have some pretty great emotes as well. We have the Peppo waving the flag. That's a pretty good emote. We have the Mike Noss wow emote as well. And we have, of course, the iconic Trackalicious tee that you can wear. And I've got a Trackalicious tee on right now. But,
well done.
Thank you, Kuzya.
That was awesome. Perfect.
And we also have a Trackalicious store now. if you're interested in grabbing some Trackalicious swag. But yes, you go ahead and do so. I would, Saagar, says Adam Strange, but I'm a college student. I only got so much money. Well, you can always just follow, and then you can always get most of the emotes. And, you know, yeah, if you follow, you can get a lot of the emotes. Heather from World Tour dropping in some emotes of their own. The little chompy chomp of the, I don't know what that is. It's definitely not Pac-Man. I was going to say Pac-Man, but that's definitely not Pac-Man.
Yeah, it's like a square Pac-Man.
It is the copyright-free version of Pac-Man.
That's exactly what it is. And here we have Anthony Kelly entering the pit lane from 3rd place. So this will be interesting to see where he comes out relative to Josh Mills, who pitted earlier. And the track conditions did change to damp. So we'll have to see if that changes the strategies of any of the drivers coming in for a tire change. And Justin Brackett there receiving a drive-through penalty, most likely for track limits. We see that Ford rolling through the pits now. Anthony Kelly getting dropped in the number 7 McLaren, rolling out of the lane onto the racing surface. We'll see where he comes out. And there's Josh Mills on the left going through. The undercut strategy working perfectly for the number 1 Lexus.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Great undercut strategy from Josh Mills. He could inherit 3rd place of this race if he decides to keep it clean going to the end. Heather from World Tour asks, Saagar, who would be better at sim racing, Lady Gaga or Lance Stroll, and why is it Lady Gaga? Well, I saw a great meme the other day that said that there was a lockout for the front 2 rows of the grid, and it was all from Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren, basically from like 2010 to 2024. The only 2 times that it has not been locked out by those teams is due to Lance Stroll. So take that for what you feel. It was under a Lance Stroll is the GOAT meme. But Lady Gaga, she had a very big hat on during the Super Bowl pre-time show, you know, and I'm not sure how I felt about that ginormous hat that she wore. Yeah.
Oh, she's always popping and flashing in some sort of costumes.
And the Botox, man. I'm not sure she could sim race with those really long nails that she has. But did Lance Stroll sing Born This Way? No, he did not. He did not. Matt Artem was chasing down Kyle Hirsch. Now under threat from Kevin Yu from behind. And this is going to be a pretty good battle here in just a few moments. Let's see if we can get a look at Kevin Yu now as he chases down Artem in front. Number 99,
yeah, Kevin Yu having
down that 414, doing a good job. And Kyle Hirsch 1 second up the road. We've got 3 different manufacturers running in this grid. We've got the Porsche, then we have the Audi, and then we have the Ferrari 296.
Yeah, good mix of manufacturers in the top 10 also, including that Lamborghini, the Lexus, a few McLarens in there, Ford Mustang, recently introduced to the grid in ACC, the most recent updated car. So yeah, it's always fun to see a good variety at the top and not just one car dominating the field.
Yeah, I was looking at the grid before this race and I saw a ton of Porsches, McLarens, and Ford Mustangs. And now that I'm looking at it again, we're obviously seeing that Lamborghini running at the top in second place, the number 24, holding on to that top spot of the podium, and or the second step of the podium, I should say, because Jake Wells, 527, is holding on to the top spot, and there goes Kevin Yu trying to make a move on Matt Artem, the 414, going over the chicane, the Klein chicane, and in through Shaka Schmenterschlang. And then in through Butte now, like we were talking about before, it is just one long corner that is given 4 different names. But yeah, they're getting through very nicely, and Kevin Yu almost finds a way off the track, finding the slip and slide that is the racing surface. But the track conditions have gone damp, and it looks like Daniel Hirsch was able to get past. No, that's just a bug on my timing tower. Never mind.
Jake Wells in the pits from the lead of the race after 19 laps of running with just about 20 minutes left in the race. he should come out pretty comfortably in the lead of all of those who have stopped already. It doesn't seem like these weather conditions will get any better for the track to improve, for dry tire running, for that track condition to improve from damp. So yeah, it seems like it's going to be a wet race all the way to the end.
Now, because the track is just damp and not actually wet, what kind of pressures are the drivers going to be dealing with as far as getting their temperatures right? And it looks like Justin Brackett was off somewhere on the racing circuit and now into pit lane. And that, I believe, is a warp to pit lane, and that might end his charge. We're down to just 14 drivers right now, and there's Jake Wells coming out.
Yeah, Jake Wells coming out pretty comfortably, out in a really good gap out on the track too. Nobody behind him, nobody ahead of him, just kind of racing a race on his own entirely. And yeah, just a few more drivers yet to make their pit stop. That top four of Wright, Hirsch, Yu, and Hirsch again have still yet to make their pit stops, whereas everyone from 5th down to 13th have completed their mandatory pit stops.
And like you said, Jake Wells still in the lead of this one by a bit of time. Josh Mills, though, is lapping very steadily in that 134 flat range, while Jace Wright's lapping at 134.3. So this could be a second place finish for Josh Mills because of those two incidences that Wright ended up having while Josh Mills was down pit lane. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just a 25-second gap between Josh and Jake up at the front of the grid, and we've got a couple of other drivers separated by around 1.8 seconds. And I want to get back to this topic that everybody was talking about. Gaga jumping off the stadium during the halftime show will live rent-free in my head for the rest of time. I didn't know that she did that. I must have missed that during the halftime show. Heather from World Tour asked, who do you think is going to win the 2025 F1 championship? Adam Strange says Oscar the Goat Piastri. And I have a feeling like this might be Lando Norris's year. I know there's a lot of Lando Norris haters out there, but I feel like Lando Norris is going to do very well this year. It's definitely not going to be who we think it is. It's definitely not going to be a Ferrari driver, I don't think. And I don't think it's going to be a Red Bull driver either.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out, with really a championship battle between almost 4 teams at the end of last year. So it'll be really interesting to see how close the championship battle is this year, especially if the battles are as close as they were throughout the end of the season last year.
Yeah, sorry if it isn't Oscar. It's got to be Lewis. I'm not sure about that. What about Valtteri Bottas, Adam Strange? What about the boat? What about Bottas winning? How do we feel about that? Driving back for the Mercedes team. Octane WG04. Nothing but asterisks. Not sure what that means. Ooh, Matt Artem and Kyle Hirsch getting involved in the incident. Let's see if we can get an incident replay of what happened to the 21 and the 414. This is just coming out of pit lane. Oh!
Yeah, that pit lane really kind of exits right into the apex of turn 1. Matt Artem had the car there, but so did Hirsch. So they were kind of battling for the same position of the track, and at that point the pit lane line technically does end, so Hirsch is already back on the racing surface. So it'll be interesting to see if the stewards end up getting involved in that situation at all. But from my view, it just seemed like a bit of a racing incident where the car was just exiting the pit lane and it was already there and it had nowhere to go, and it didn't, just seemed like a racing incident to me.
Yeah, a very dangerous racing incident, but great breakdown there, Kuzya. I was going to ask you what your analysis of the situation was, but you read my mind and you gave me what I was asking for already. Yeah, because that car coming out of pit lane just had nowhere to go, It did drift out just a tiny bit wide, but the 414 was also closing the door as well at the same time, and seemingly sight unseen for both drivers, unaware because of that huge speed differential coming out of pit lane, obviously, and coming through turn one. It's absolutely crazy. Kevin Yu getting passed by Daniel Hirsch, it looks like. And is that correct? No, that's not correct. Kevin Yu still in the lead of this race over Daniel Hirsch, who's in second place technically.
Yeah, these two yet to complete their mandatory pit stop, so they're just kind of playing the long game, potentially waiting to see if the weather turns out in their favor. And there we see a drive-through penalty for Artem, unfortunately for the 414 Audi driver, after getting involved in that incident we saw just a little bit earlier.
And another yellow flag for that 414. Let's see what happened here. Or let's not see what happened here, I guess.
Yeah, it looked like it was still going a little bit slowly out on track, so maybe just getting involved in a little bit of an incident and finding itself in the barrier. Yeah, now just driving along pretty slowly down in 12th place.
I love the banter in chat right now. You guys are absolutely keeping me alive and going right now. 13 minutes and 35 seconds by the end of my spiel. And Matt Artem in to serve that drive-through penalty now, or perhaps serving his mandatory pit stop. I don't think he has already served one just yet. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Kevin Yu leads over Daniel Hirsch in first and second place. But then we have Jake Wells, who should actually inherit the lead of this race. And actually, more actuallys, Jace Wright is in second place of the race in front of Josh Mills. He did serve that mandatory pit stop, only stopped for 27.3 seconds, and that'll be a 4.1 second gap between Josh Mills and Jace Wright.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he repaired any damage. That for the front of that Lamborghini looking just a little bit crunched still. So perhaps just taking his mandatory 25-second pit stop with a bit of a delay. Yeah, we see that hood, bumper, whatever you want to call it. There's no engine under it, but just bouncing up and down a little bit on the main straights. Just a little bit of scratching we see on the bottom too. So most likely happy with how the car is feeling in these conditions with the damage he has, and electing not to repair any for that track position. Because yeah, if he had anything about over 5 seconds of damage, he would have come out behind the Lexus of Josh Mills.
Kuzya, I believe that area that you're referring to is called the front, technically. It is the front trunk.
Nice to know that there's a technical term they have it. We'll have to bring that up to Lamborghini.
Yeah, it is the patented frunk system by Lamborghini, the front trunk. Heather from World Tour, I remember during a stream, Saagar didn't understand that Pink Pony Club was a metaphor. I still don't understand what the Pink Pony Club is. Did I not learn? I must not have learned it. Adam Strange? Kuzya, can you help me with what the Pink Pony Club is?
I cannot. I do not know off the top of my head.
Maybe that's something I shouldn't even be saying on stream. Now you're going to make me Google it. Now you're going to make him Google it. I hate Googling things on stream.
I'm on it. It's a song by Chapel Roan. That's what I can see. Unless there's some hidden deep meaning behind it that we don't know.
Who's Chappelle Rowan?
That's she's a country singer.
Oh. It is a metaphor for a safe space where people can be themselves. The song is a tribute to the LGBTQIA scene in LA and the clubs that welcome everybody. Got it. The more you know. I'm sorry, unrando stranger Mrs. Racing. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I don't know. I listen to the same 2,000 songs on my Spotify playlist over and over and over again, and they basically all start from around 2003 and go back from there. There's nothing new that gets added to my playlist.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Not a lot of new music comes my way, so I'm kind of stuck in the same playlist from years ago.
It must drive my friends and my girlfriend absolutely nuts. Adam Strange hits me with the absolute banger. The baseball bat to my kneecaps. Adam Strange says, I wasn't even alive in 2003. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Ouch.
a big. Yep, my back hurts just a little bit more now.
I thought I was old already. Now he really makes me feel old. What are my top 5 songs on Spotify? Well, actually right now what's happening is that I'm going to look it up because I'm not so sure. Let's see, top tracks. Oh. Okay.
It'd be funny if Pink Pony Club was up there.
Yeah, right. Because I've been watching Initial D recently. I know who Sabrina Carpenter is only because it popped up on YouTube. I know of her, and I know she did like this song on SNL that got brought up. But other than that, I have no idea who Sabrina Carpenter is. I've never heard her songs. So, the last 4 weeks, last 6 months, last 12 months. So in the last 4 weeks, my number 1 played song is Running in the 90s by Max Coveri. And that's an Initial D song. Tell Me by Neil Francis and the Undercover Dream Lovers. Deja Vu, also an Initial D song. Shackles by Steven Rodriguez. Thank You Not So Bad by Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike. And yeah, there's my top 5. And I Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue is also in my top 5 playlist, or well, top 10 playlist.
Heck
Also,
yeah.
I Need Your Love by Dave Simon, another great Initial D song. What were the 90s like? You guys are so messed up. Were there just a bunch of people being extra? Oh, God, I'm dying. I'm just dying right now. Looking back at this race. Jake Wells in the 5.27. And Jace Wright in 2nd place, Josh Mills in 3rd, Anthony Kelly in 4th place, Chris Logan in 5th, Curtis Rustin in 6th, 7th for Kevin Yu, Kyle Hirsch in 8th, Daniel Hirsch in 9th, Alex Freeman in 10th, and Buggy Watt in 11th.
Yeah, just down to 11 cars on the grid. The rain taking quite a few victims today around this 50-minute race. Everyone completing their pit stops, so this should be the grid to go to the end of the race, and we'll just have to wait and see if there are any battles that play out towards the end. Not too many close battles out on track at the moment, unfortunately, but the chat is very much keeping us alive here today.
Yes, thank you very much. There were some great cars that were made in the 90s. The Honda Prelude, the Honda CRX, the EG6 hatchback. Ooh, so many good Hondas that came out during that time. I have a Honda CRX. It's a 1990 Honda CRX SI. Look it up if you're not aware of what it is. It is as close to an AE86 as we could get in the United States. Very great car, except it was a FF, not an FR. So, yeah.
The first model of the NSX came out in the early 90s also.
Yeah, very true.
With the pop-ups. So yeah, Honda made a lot of great cars in the 90s.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah, I believe the S2000 came out in the 90s as well. Probably.
I think so.
Honda, the year of innovation was the year of my birthright. Toyota made the Toyota pickup truck iconic. Toyota Paseo. What's a Toyota Paseo? Oh man, that thing is bad. I'll share it with you, Kuzya, real quick.
Oh, nice.
Look
yeah,
at
that's
this
a
bad
cute little,
mamma jamma.
That's so cute. I love that. Yeah, I love seeing all the little like little Japanese cars that just aren't available anywhere else. They're just so small, tiny, cute. They just like, I feel like I wouldn't fit in them in with my 6'3" height. But I want to try so bad.
Like, what about one of these, a Suzuki Cappuccino?
Oh, yeah, that was gonna be the car I was gonna bring up. It's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, a Suzuki Cappuccino. I want to see you fit into one of these, Kuzya.
I will become the safety roll structure at that point. We'll have to wait. We'll have to see how strong my neck is supporting the weight of everything.
The top will always be off on that car.
Exactly. It'll be like that Top Gear scene of Jeremy Clarkson sticking his head out the sunroof, except it's just permanent.
We can get you one of those like roll hoops that goes over the back of the car at least.
Yeah, hopefully with some modifications they'll be able to be a little bit more safe. But no, I don't know how safe it'll be compared to how big the other cars on the roads are.
I wonder if you can actually get one of these imported to the United States.
Probably soon. I think soon enough we should be able to.
For $7,000 you can get one.
Oh,
Delivered
fantastic.
to Baltimore.
Close enough.
Two-wheel drive, 1997. I kind of want one of these.
Oh, that's my birth year. That'll be perfect.
See, that makes me feel better, Kuzya. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, it's a perfect year to be born.
It's perfect time to be born. Fun fact about the 90s? Let's see if we can find some fun facts about the 90s.
Yeah, good battle heating up here actually for second place between Mills and Wright, between the Lexus and the Lamborghini. We were kind of predicting this would happen with the damage that Jace Wright was carrying on that front of that Italian car, maybe German car depending on how you want to see it, because Lamborghini is owned by Audi, but nonetheless having that V10 roaring in the back with the V8 behind it of the Lexus sitting in the front of the car. So two very different car designs entirely, with the V10 sitting in the back of the Lamborghini and the front engined V8 of the Lexus battling it out on track in the final 2 minutes of the race. Jake Wells, though, with the commanding lead ahead of these two, around 30 seconds out in front. So we'll just have to wait and see if Josh Mills can pick any opportunity to get by and take that second step of the podium, as Wright goes just a little bit wide on the exit.
Some quick facts about the 90s. It was when cloning was first attempted. And did you know that that's when Google and Amazon emerged? Amazon actually started as basically an online Barnes & Noble company. Barnes & Noble's, for those that you don't know, is a bookstore where you can go in and physically buy books. And that's all they sell, or nothing but books. It's like a library, except for very expensive. So Amazon started as an online library for just books before it started selling everything else. And the internet came out in the 90s as well, and it changed how people communicated, did business, and found entertainment as well. Well, did you know about the internet? There was a time before the internet came out?
Well, you wouldn't know about that because you didn't have the internet before the internet.
There was this strange time where you actually had to go down the street to go find your friends. It was so weird. You couldn't just hop on Discord and talk to people. You actually had to like go right over to people's houses on your bicycle, or go walk there like a Neanderthal and go knock on the door, and then their mom or their sister would answer the door, and you'd ask them like, is Tommy available to come out and play? And they'd be like, well, Tommy's not here. Tommy's out somewhere. You'd be like, where's Tommy? And then you just go hunting all these different spots that you knew Tommy would go kick it at because you never knew where he was going to be. And that's just the way the world worked. No way, stop the cap. It's true. It was a crazy time to be alive. Your parents didn't know where you were. Yeah, exactly, Dr. Porkchop. That's something that actually had to happen.
Yeah, you just had to have a physical copy or just use your thoughts.
Yeah, or use your thoughts. Could you imagine? Oh, Lord.
Good thing I was too young growing up then to know what that was, so I can't. Good thing the internet came around at a perfect time.
The stream has basically turned into a 12-hour endurance race somehow. But Jake Wells...
It really has.
taking the lead of this race and the checkered flag first. The 5-2-7 brings it home. I wouldn't even entertain the reading of magazines. There was other things that you had to do as well when you were never mind, we won't go there. Jace Wright in P2, chased by Josh Mills in P3, 8/10 off the good, and really looking like he wanted to have second place in the bag, but Jace Wright still driving forward somehow, some way, after all that damage that he incurred. And then Anthony Kelly will bring home fourth place for the standings. And he's coming through the final chicane now. The 261 of Chris Logan will bring home fifth place.
Yeah, good battle all the way to the end for the last two steps of the podium between Wright and Mills. Pretty impressive that he was able to hold off that second place with all the damage he sustained throughout the race. Logan just crossing the line there in the 261 Ford in fifth place. Yu with a good recovery up to sixth after that first lap incident. We saw him work his way through the field quite effectively, now finishing sixth. Kyle Hirsch that is, crossing the line in seventh. Dan Hirsch just behind him, the two Porsches in seventh and eighth place. Alex Freeman crossing the line next in ninth place in the 14 McLaren. Buggy Watt across the line as well in 11th place. Last but not least, here we have the 868 of Curtis Rustin finishing in 10th place overall. Riding through the blue smoke up to the fireworks. Just one more chicane to navigate, and that will be the end of this 50-minute race around Zolder.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Let's head back over to the studio, and we'll wrap this bad boy up. Jake Wells over Jace Wright, Josh Mills, Anthony Kelly, Chris Logan, Kevin Yu, Kyle Hirsch, Daniel Hirsch, Alex Freeman, Curtis Rustin, and then Buggy Watt. Let's see if anybody's in the green room for interviews. We've got Jake Wells, who's available. Let's go ahead and grab Jake in. And he's deafened and muted. He is super deaf. Oh, hello, Mr. Jake Wells.
Hello, hello.
What a phenomenal race that you had to challenge yourself with. How were the conditions out there tonight?
Not too bad. Not too bad. They're fairly easy. I mean, it got fairly not dry, but the dry line formed pretty early, and just able to get out and go.
Get out and go. Oh, we've got a request. Jake Wells, what's your favorite 1990s fact?
1990s fact. I was born in 1991.
Me too. Okay. Thank you for making me feel like I'm the right age to be here, Jake Wells.
I got you, brother.
Oh, man.
Favorite 1990s fact. I have no idea, Octane. Now I need to look one up.
I'll let you simmer on that. But the track conditions obviously not evolving too much. Was there ever a point where you're concerned with your tire choice, maybe thinking about taking some dries, or were you just considering, I'm going to stay on wets no matter what?
No, yeah, it never got dry enough. The track never even got damp. It was stayed wet. But yeah, never had to change tires. And with wet tires, you can actually stay out for 2 whole stints. So that's just something that if you don't know, then you don't know. But yeah, wet tires last forever.
Yeah, for sure. And a couple of drivers electing to take tires very early on in the race. Was curious about that, but obviously able to double stint those and make them last the entire 50 minutes. That was a good shout and a good drive out of you, Jake Wells. Were you ever concerned with Jace Wright behind you?
No, I was very proud of him. He was sticking with me for the first 10 minutes. I was like, man, Jace is keeping me honest. I'm happy for him. This is awesome. Because I don't know what happened to Williams, but yeah, he was gone. I looked back at the end of the first lap, like, what happened?
Yeah, he had a technical issue apparently that caused him
Oh,
to get a drive-through penalty off the start. So therefore, he just dropped out of the race, unfortunately.
rough. Been there, done that.
Yeah,
But I do have a fact for you.
shoot it from the hip.
Cloning was first done in the 90s.
We already went over that one during the
Dang
stream.
it. Adam gave me that one. He was just like, hey, cloning. Dang it, you son of a gun.
I already
I
dropped the
was
one about
going,
Google and Amazon as well. Let people know that Amazon used to just
oh,
sell books back in the day, like nothing else but books.
that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. But you're right. Oh my God.
That's how old we are. As Amazon was like, "What? They just sold books? Like, what's that?" And then I said that there are like an electronic version of Barnes and Nobles, and then I realized I have to explain what a Barnes and Nobles is because nobody in the 20th century knows what a bookstore is.
Wait, do they not have Barnes and Noble anymore?
They basically all closed down. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, brother.
That's brutal.
I explained Barnes and Nobles as a very expensive library. I hope that was a good analogy.
In malls, most likely, yes.
Octane
Oh my God.
WG04 says lies. Anything in your race that came up? Wait, hold on. Saagar never gave an answer if he had... I know who Miley Cyrus is. Of course I know who Miley Cyrus is.
What's her real name?
Hannah
Hannah
Montana.
Montana.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Hannah Montana predates Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a young cousin, so of course I know who Hannah Montana is. That's who I knew when I was growing up. Miley Cyrus is just this weird imposter of this young adult now. It's very strange.
We grew up with Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah, Lizzie McGuire. Oh my God,
Britney
I
Spears.
forgot about her. Who was the actress that played Lizzie McGuire?
Jesus.
Hillary Duff.
Hillary
Yeah,
Duff.
she's
Thank you. Yep.
still looking good at her age, man. Well,
Is
this is
she?
our age, which is brutal. Oh, yes.
Good for
I mean,
her.
she looks okay. In case my wife's listening.
this stream is completely derailed. Jake Wells,
Yeah.
is there
Sorry,
anything else
guys.
that you want to talk about your race or how things went?
No, it was fun. I had maybe one or two mishaps, and they weren't big, but I knew I had a gap, and I was just vibing, man. We are just having fun.
Right on. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it for sure. Thank you very much for joining us, Jake Wells. Is there anybody that you want to shout out other than your wife? Hillary Duff, maybe, Hannah Montana.
My wife is number 1, number 2, number 3 on my list. So that's all I got. Sorry.
Kids didn't even make the
Everybody
top
else?
3. That's harsh.
No. The wife will be there for my whole life. The kids will probably disown me sooner or later, knowing how ridiculous I am.
I didn't realize how young you were, and you have 2 like grown kids now.
They're 7 and 4.
They're like young adults, man. They're gonna start hating you pretty quickly.
Oh, don't say that. I don't need to cry right now.
Sorry, Jake.
It's all good. It's all good. But no, the race went good. I hope the race went good for you guys. I know I was paying attention to the Delta with Jason. Is it Jeff Mills? They were
Josh Mills?
neck and Josh. Okay, yeah, they were neck and neck.
Yeah,
At
super
the end.
excited to see Alexis up at the front.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
Jace, on the other hand, was not too thrilled.
Did Jace finish P2?
He did
Pulled it
finish
out?
P2, just a couple of tenths in front of Josh. It was pretty good, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Good battle towards the end of the race for sure. Thank you very much for joining us, Jake Wills. Have a wonderful stream, buddy, and make sure you stay safe out there.
Yes, sir. Take care. Thank you, boys.
You too. Later. All right, Kuzya, any closing thoughts or anything else that you want to mention before we go to the calendar?
No, just yeah, thanks again for the chat. Thanks again for everybody racing. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Not quite as much action as usual today with quite a limited grid, but yeah, thank you guys in the chat for talking to us, keeping us entertained throughout, and yeah, we'll be back at it next week.
For sure. Let's take a look at the race calendar. First of all, like Kuzya said, thank you so much for all the chatters. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching to the bitter end. You guys are absolutely fantastic group of people, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on my Wednesday evening than here with Trackalicious. And if you want to get involved with any of these Trackalicious events, exclamation point SimGrid and exclamation point Discord to get involved in any one of these events. We have Le Mans Ultimate on Friday. Thursdays, we have our GT3 Championship on iRacing. Wednesdays, we have our West Coast Wednesdays Championship. On Mondays, we have our GT4 Rookies and Open. And don't forget our Staple Championship, where you yourself can win an IRL track day with the Track Pep car, $500 in your pocket for travel expenses. This Sunday, we're going to be at Kyalami. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a wonderful time. Again, thank you very much to all the chatters. Octane, WG04, Adam Strange, Heather from World Tour. We had Dr. Porkchop come in as well. Really appreciate all the love. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. And as always, stay safe out there. And we're going to stick around for a quick raid. And I will find someone to raid in just a quick moment, as I delay as much as I possibly can, and we'll find someone to raid. Have a good night, everybody.